Looking like you put some effort into your appearance today, Ken. It is what it is. All right. Yeah, so as the title suggests, I have been playing around with. It turns out that finding puzzles with a binary solution are just not easy to find. And part of that may be my search terms, because all the world thinks you want ones and zeros when you ask about binary solutions. Not so much. I'm looking for. I don't want it to be true and false, but I did a few of those too. And the thing that's a little frustrating with doing a search like that, and it's one of the frustrations I've had for a long time with trying to use anything like Google or any other search engine, is they try to tailor your responses to things that you've looked at before. So I've looked up different board games and other puzzles and things like that. When I look up things like true false riddle or yes no puzzle or things like that, I get a boatload of responses from Google that are not useful to me. I get a lot of like the world's hardest riddle. I was not looking for that. I was not, and it's half of my returned results in Google. And I'm not sure what term I need to be searching for to find patterns on which puzzles can be constructed. So some of the templates, it has literally taken me a couple days. I think back when I talked when we were talking about making tabletop games that had the video element to it, and I talked about this idea back then. I did a quick Google search, and when I say quick, about 3 to 4 hours worth of searching, see if there are any like basic puzzles that use a 2-answer pattern. It's either or, and that's another thing I searched for this afternoon was either or answer puzzles, or yes or no. And I guess there's a type of puzzle game out there where you set a scenario and people can ask yes or no questions. So that's what's coming up for yes or no. So that's not going to give me any useful answers, because that's multiple questions to which I have to provide yes or no responses. They can ask any question they want. That's too open-ended to function as a input-output game design. And it's just like, I'm never going to find a useful answer. I'm never going to get a good Google response to figure this out. And it took me a hell of a long time to get something useful. And there are some math games out there that you can do, which are, I think it's a transitory something or other, or transitional, or something like that. But they're math puzzles on how to calculate variables that could go one of two ways or something like that. And that's a very limited use to what I was trying to do. But I started chasing down some of the things, and like an obscure reference to one of these types of logic puzzles that was out there hit on the Monty Hall problem, which is actually that was something like it's a footnote of a footnote on a thing related to a topic that had nothing to do with what I was trying to do. So it was a bit of a chase down. But the Monty Hall problem is basically the concept of you're given 3 objects. In the contents of those, say, boxes, 3 boxes, the contents of those boxes are unknown. There's 1 desirable and 2 non-desirable objects, and you get to decide which one you're going to pick. So you pick one, and the person you're in the competition against reveals one of the other ones, and when it's revealed, it is not a desirable object. Do you choose to change which box you chose, or do you stick with the one you have? And there's a mathematical logical formula for figuring out what the right choice is on that scenario. Now that's an interesting one because it's a statistical probability. So in that situation, statistically speaking, you're better off switching. But statistically speaking, as far as I can tell, you could still end up being wrong even if you make the right choice. So that's one of those things that eventually I managed to find a back route into getting something. And so you can do that with the two choices narrative that I'm working on for the left and right channel audio game. What you have to do is set up the narrative so that you do the whole intro that I just did there for you. You know, here's a puzzle. It has 3 potential solutions. You pick one. One of the other 2 is revealed to be not the desirable result. Do you stick with the one you were going for, or do you switch to the other? And I can do that. That's either stay or change. That's a binary choice. And I can set that up in the left and right audio channel game. And then there's the 3 prisoner problem. And that's another time. And that was something I basically, what you end up doing is when I found an unrelated article, followed a link in that article to an unrelated topic, which led to a link that led to a topic that was tangentially related to what I was talking about. It led to the Wikipedia article on the Monty Hall problem or paradox. And that, if you go through that, it makes references to a couple or 1 or 2 other types of puzzles, which in themselves reference a few other types of puzzles. I still haven't seen anything that gives me a good term under which to search for that type of puzzle. And unfortunately, some of them are not binary choices. So I'd have to really kind of tweak some work on some of them. But I think where I'm going with this is, originally it was going to be like a traditional trivia, you know, true or false this. And I might do one video like that, just a true or false trivia quiz. Left channel, right channel, based off of your choice, and then remerge back into central channel. And then, again, the next question gets you a right or left channel choice. I might do that, but what I've been playing with over the last day or so is I want to sort of do a narrative like you're on a quest and you encounter a puzzle that you have to solve in order to win an item that you have to get. And then at the end of it, do you collect 3 of the 5 power items in order to win the game? That I feel like is a little bit more my speed, what I want to do with it. Like, there's nothing wrong with trivia games. You know, true or false, the Amazons lived in Turkey. You know, that you can do a true or false answer to that. But it's less interesting to me. That's really just like, can you test your knowledge? Whereas chunking something like a few true or falses with a Monty Hall problem and Bertrand's box paradox, or a few other reskins of classic puzzles like those. If you can take that kind of thing and string them into a story narrative, it can make for a fun game. Now, you're going to hit a sort of a limit of what you can pull off. If I put 3 to 5 puzzles in each game, it's possible I'm going to have to get to a point where there may be more than one of a single type of puzzle in the game that I make. There'll be different parts. One might be like these dragon eggs, and the other one might be these two doors, but it's the same puzzle, just reskinned. And the other hitch on that is, once you've made that game using if I can only manage to find 3 to 4 types of puzzles that I can do this with, chance that every game I make after this is just going to be some rearrangement of those 4 to 5 puzzles. Not much I can do about it, but honestly, a lot of books and games are built around a simple formula like that. And I think the important part is to get a good story narrative that makes the puzzle solving part of it a fun part of it, but not enough of the focus is on that it becomes easy to understand what and how all the puzzles work. So I have possibly 2 or 3 puzzles I can use right now. I have a few more potentially, like the Sleeping Beauty problem, Boy or Girl paradox, Bertrand's box paradox, the Monty Hall, the 3 prisoner problem. I'm not sure all of them will work for the format that I'm going for. And then there's the 2 envelope problem. So I have a list of about 5 to look at further. Whether or not they work in the long run, there's Knights and Knaves, which is sort of like that. You get to a split. There's a door on the left and a door on the right, and there's a 2-headed monster in front of you. One head always lies, one head always tells the truth. Those types of puzzles, they're everywhere. And there's some very simple ways to construct some of those. But once you've built one for a binary choice, true or false, or something to that effect, you're sort of repeating that same puzzle over and over again every time you make it, even if it's, flying saucers, one's carrying the prisoners and one's not, versus a 2-headed dragon telling you which portal gets you out of the dungeon, kind of thing. Like it's the same puzzle, it's just a different costume you dressed it up in. And I feel like we're probably going to get a fair number of those until I can really get a sense of where else to look for this type of puzzle, where the true or false, yes or no, right or left sort of puzzle solving. If I can find out what else to call that, so that I can find out other ones that exist in that format, that would be kind of cool, but I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. I've, at this point, probably put in 8 to 12 hours of trying to hunt something down, and I still don't have a result. So, I mean, what I've got right now is probably the best I'm going to do in the foreseeable future. Now, it does occur to me that I may not have figured out all the potential ways of using what I'm playing with right now, because one of the things that comes to mind is when I was doing searches for binary puzzles, one of the things that came up was a lot of those 1s and 0 puzzles out there. And it occurs to me that left channel could be 1 and right channel could be 0. So feasibly, I can add complexity, because what you're seeing right now on your screen and what I'm posting and what I'm researching, web pages with all 26 letters and 100 other symbols involved in it, that's all made with 1s and 0s. So there may be a way to stack the complexity of the binary system in order to get a more complex puzzle. Is that playable by the average person? I would wager some of that's a no. Just because I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to sit there and do like deep encoding of a hexadecimal system using binary in order to get anything playably useful out of a game like that. It'd be a bit of a nerd fun thing to do for people who could enjoy it, but I guess we shall see what I can do with what I've got planned. I will look a little bit more. The Monty Hall problem looks like it. The three prisoners, I'm not sure. And like the three prisoners sounds like it's equivalent to the Monty Hall problem, and they're both based off of the Bertrand's box paradox. So that right there is pretty much three of these choices that I have are sort of reimaginings of the same puzzle. The boy-girl paradox, it looks like it's sort of a probability calculation again, where it's Mr. Jones has two children. The older child is a girl. What is the probability that both children are girls? Mr. Smith has two children. At least one of them is a boy. What is the probability that both children are boys? And so it's really just sort of figuring out what the probability of a thing is, and I don't know that it works particularly well for the format I'm doing. It would take some real reworking to make it make sense. Okay, Sleeping Beauty problem is a puzzle and decision theory in which an ideally rational epistemic agent is to be woken once or twice according to the toss of a coin. Once if heads and twice if tails, and asked her degree of belief for the coin having come up heads. Yeah, these are all very probability-based puzzles. Two envelopes problem is known as the exchange paradox. Is a brain teaser puzzle or paradox in logic, probability, and recreational mathematics. It is a special interest in decision theory. Okay, so there might be some terms I can use to do some more searching here, but you are given two indistinguishable envelopes. Wow, I can't believe I couldn't say that word. You are given two indistinguishable envelopes, each containing money. One contains twice as much as the other. You may pick one envelope and keep the money it contains. Having chosen an envelope at will, but before inspecting it, you are given the chance to switch envelopes, should you switch. This is very similar to the Monty Hall problem. All right, so, I mean, I could include things like that, one or two of those puzzles, and maybe a couple of true or false puzzles, or riddles, or something to that effect. And so it may end up being, like, I could get 4 or 5 puzzles in a single game. Might be easier just to start with trying to get 3 puzzles on a game. So narrative, puzzle 1, narrative element, puzzle 2, narrative element, puzzle 3, and then resolution at the end. And that's a pretty decently sized puzzle structure. If you imagine each puzzle is 30 seconds to a minute in length to set up, and the narrative elements are about 3 minutes max. So yeah, I mean, that'd be sizable. That'd be close to 15 minutes for a puzzle game. That's not bad. I think I'll settle for the doing 3 to start with. So I got to do a little more research on the puzzle types that I have here. Maybe 1 true or false and 2 of a different type. And then I will work on maybe just doing a simple trivia game with maybe 5 to 7 questions with their answers. And I think I will call that the experiment this time around. And then the other thing I need to work on this week is going to be doing the audio manipulation, going through my music book over here and breaking down a couple of older songs to decide which ones I'm going to tear down to a few bars and use them as the bass pattern for a new song. Switch up speed, arpeggio, maybe the chords and whatnot, and just see what I can do with it. That's the big the big announcement thus far of what I've achieved today. I've been, and I need to, after this, I need to do the recording for the book. I finally got through that book. That book took me a long time to get, and it's not long. It's not a long book, but it was grueling to get through the first third of that book. So I will upload that after this, I think, and then the creative prompts for it should go tomorrow. Tomorrow's Views Day. I've still not decided what I'm going to watch yet, so I guess it'll be a surprise. And then Wednesday and Thursday are going to be a movie, which I haven't yet decided on yet. And then Friday and Saturday will be a board game. And then next week, I believe, is product and service review. And then taste test. Then art or music. I think we're at another week where I do a more music review. And then after that is video games and health and well-being at the end of the month. And next month, we're in September right now. Next month is October, the month before National Novel Writing Month, when I oftentimes switch up my schedule so that I do more story prompts for people. So script writers or book writers who are going to be working in October, I do like a collection of short stories, and I just go through the whole collection and come up with ideas based off of those for a whole month instead of one of each category for a month. I might do that again. I'm not sure. I think we'll see on that one. But my daily projects like this, I think I still want to keep cycling through at least most of these. I think I've still got a place to do the taste tests, because I'm doing the taste test for keto last week. And the next taste test I'll do a week like this will be not next month, but the month after that. So November. And so that's doable. Product or service might be something fitness-based, maybe. I'll have to really sit down and think about where the rest of these nightly live videos are going to be done, what topics they're going to be done on. there's a part of me that really wants to just focus on like writing or visual arts for a while and not keep jumping from topic to topic. But we'll see what I can achieve and what makes sense for where I'm going from here. It's one of those sit down and reevaluate. Yeah, that's the thing is it's got to be out there somewhere. The answer to I can't call them binary choices, but I'm wondering if Bayesian might be the way to go. It's Bayesian. It's like a Bayesian. Bayesian means, I believe it's a binary choice. No, I didn't ask for Bayesian inference, but that may be the only way. That's not, no, that's not, I wasn't, no. Bayes' theorem describes the probability of an event based on prior knowledge or conditions that might be related to event. Okay, so for example, if cancer is related to age, then using Bayesian theorem, a person's age can be used to more accurately assess the probability that he has cancer than can be done without knowledge of the person's age. I don't think that'll work as much as I think it might, but decision theory seems to come up a lot in these searches. There's got to be a way to answer that, like find other puzzles like this, because it can't all be true or false. Like, that can't be the only way we've ever in history used a two-choice puzzle. If it is, we are grossly uncreative as a species. That can't be the only way to do this. So I got to figure out how to find a few others, because I mean, I might be able to come up with a few off the top of my head, but they're just going to be marginal variants on true or false. And I kind of want to see if I can find something for a little extra inspiration on how to achieve puzzles. I'm going to make new puzzles. I'm not going to use the existing ones necessarily, but I kind of need an example. It's sort of like all I've ever seen is black and white photographs, and somebody has just suggested to me somewhere out there's a thing called color photographs, but I need to see an example before I can understand what they're talking about. So that's sort of where I feel like I'm just on the edge of being able to crack the potential uses of this left and right channel audio game that I want to play with. And I was thinking, actually, like once I come up with this, I might do a video or two like this, but I think I may want to see if I can do it in a podcast style format or audio files you can download. And I want to see if I can contact a few of the like the visually impaired or blind YouTubers out there, and let them know that I'm looking to create games that don't require a visual element. They're audio games, not video games. And I was like, are they interested in some games like this? And are they interested in potentially creating some games like this? And I think that would be fun to get a group of people, like a group of YouTubers, visually impaired or otherwise, creating games that the visually impaired can get to play like we play video games. But that's just me being me, I think. Again, it's like when I was making Cuddle Pop, a video game. It's not just a video game, but a potential way of benefiting cleaning up the oceans. Yeah, well, of course, that's just the way my brain works. It's, all right, so we're at about 30 minutes in. I think I'm ready to call it for tonight and get back to work on some of this stuff and create the review for the book I read. And then tomorrow I will do the prompts based off of it and Views Day and potentially watch the movie, for which I will do the review and prompts on Wednesday and Thursday. It's a lot of work to do this week. I'm actually also filling out applications for part-time jobs for the season coming in so that I can pick up some more currency because I'm strapped for cash. And I'm not even halfway through the month and I'm already realizing that in about 2 days I'm going to have zero money for the rest of the month. It's not a good place to be. And I'm trying to help a friend sell a few things, like a camper and a tiny house and a couple of hunting equipment pieces. And the whole world is really bad at that. I can post the ads all I want, get no responses for about 4 weeks, and then somebody comes in and asks if you'll take a fifth of your price for it. No, that's not the goal. Like, this is a perfectly good piece of equipment. Stop trying to undercut me. You're not going to get the price that I'm asking is 2/3 of what it would cost you to buy it at a store. Nobody else is selling it. Take the price I'm offering. Stop trying to undercut it. It's a frustration I've dealt with for years, helping people and friends I know find a new home for their belongings and make some recovery costs from those things. Everybody's out for a special deal. All right. I will stop my ranting. I am turning into a cranky old man sometimes. All right. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. Take care and have a good night. I got to find a solution to that. What are those 2 solution puzzles? Mm-hmm. All right, so